Rebel Wilson found herself sitting in a sterile, softly lit doctor's office, the kind of place where time seems to slow down and every word carries extra weight. She glanced around, her mind racing, not quite sure what to expect from this visit. The air was thick with anticipation, and she could feel her heart pounding in her chest as she waited for the doctor to speak. Then, the words came. Simple, clinical, but they landed with the force of a tidal wave. In that moment, Rebel felt her world tilt on its axis. It wasn't just another conversation. It was a turning point, a moment that would echo in her memory for years to come. This time, it wasn't about landing a new movie role or delivering the perfect punchline. It was about something far more personal, more vulnerable. Her lifelong dream of becoming a mother. She thought of the family photos she cherished, the baby pictures she'd held onto, and the hope that had always quietly lived in her heart. The doctor's words were gentle but firm. Your chances of freezing your eggs are better if you're healthier. It was a statement that cut through all the noise of Hollywood, all the expectations and pressures, and spoke directly to her future. Suddenly, the glamorous persona she'd carefully crafted for the cameras felt like a mask she could no longer wear. The glitz and the red carpets, the laughter and applause, they all seemed distant, almost irrelevant, compared to the reality she now faced. That quiet visit in a room filled with nothing but medical equipment and possibility became the spark that ignited a profound change. There was no director shouting, "Action!" just the soft hum of machines and the weight of a life-altering decision settling in. Rebel realized she was standing at a crossroads. She could keep playing the role the world expected of her, or she could step into the unknown and fight for the future she truly wanted. It was a choice between comfort and courage, between staying the same and daring to transform. The conversation shifted abruptly. From the familiar territory of comedy and scripts to the stark reality of fertility statistics and biological clocks. Numbers and probabilities replaced punchlines, and the stakes had never felt higher. It was a wake-up call, louder and more jarring than any applause she'd ever received. The laughter that once filled her life faded into the background, replaced by a new sense of urgency and purpose. For the first time, Rebel understood that her health was no longer just about her own well-being. It was about the family she hoped to create, the children she dreamed of holding, and the legacy she wanted to leave behind. The journey ahead wasn't going to be a quick-fix montage like in the movies. It would be a gritty, day-by-day battle filled with early mornings, tough choices, and moments of doubt. But it all started with one powerful, life-affirming decision, to put her health and her dreams first. The goal wasn't to fit into a smaller dress or to chase some arbitrary standard of beauty. It was about getting healthy from the inside out, nourishing her body, working with experts, and building habits that would last a lifetime. Rebel had to look past the character she played for the world and discover the leading lady within herself. She realized that true transformation wasn't about changing for others, but about embracing her own strength and potential. This journey was about shedding more than just pounds. It was about letting go of old mindsets, outdated beliefs, and the limitations she'd placed on herself. Every day, she wrote in her journal, reminding herself of her why. As she stepped onto new stages, both literal and metaphorical, Rebel felt a renewed sense of purpose. She was no longer driven by box office numbers or public approval, but by a deep personal mission to become the best version of herself. Sometimes the most important moments in life don't happen under the spotlight. They happen in quiet, unguarded moments when no one is watching and the only audience is yourself. For Rebel, this was the moment everything changed. The instant she decided to rewrite her story, not for Hollywood, but for herself and her future family. And as she took her first steps on this new path, filled with hope and determination, she knew this was just the beginning of a journey that would transform her life forever. Rebel Wilson did something bold, something most of us only dream of. She made a decision not just in private but in front of the entire world. She stood tall in the spotlight and declared that she was ready for a change. In 2020, Rebel announced her Year of Health. It wasn't just a catchy phrase or a fleeting New Year's resolution. It was a public commitment, a promise to herself and to millions of fans who followed her every move. She shared her journey openly, posting updates, selfies, and honest reflections on social media. Every post was a window into her world, a world where change was possible but never easy. Rebel set a clear, measurable goal to reach 75 kilograms or 165 pounds. She wrote it down, spoke it out loud, and let the world in on her vision. This wasn't just a wish whispered in the dark. It was a tangible target, a line drawn in the sand. She was determined to cross it no matter how tough the journey. By making her goal public, Rebel made herself accountable. Suddenly, millions of eyes were watching, some cheering her on, others quick to judge or criticize. The pressure was real, and the stakes were high. There was no quiet quitting, no slipping away unnoticed. Her journey was broadcast on the world stage, every step scrutinized, every setback magnified. But Rebel didn't hide from the hard parts. She owned her story, sharing not just the victories but the struggles, the days when motivation faded, the moments of doubt, the setbacks, and the comebacks. The Year of Health was never just about diet and exercise. For Rebel, it was about digging deeper, asking herself why she made the choices she did and what she truly wanted from life. She confronted her patterns of emotional eating, bravely facing the tough questions and uncomfortable truths that so many of us avoid. She explored her relationship with food, with her body, and with her own self-worth. To change her body, Rebel realized she first had to change her mind. She practiced positive affirmations, challenged her inner critic, and learned to see herself through kinder eyes. Each day she made small choices, swapping self-sabotage for self-care, one meal, one workout, one mindful moment at a time. She learned that true transformation is built on consistency, not perfection. Rebel also learned the power of saying no. She turned down roles that didn't serve her, distanced herself from old habits, and refused to let doubt dictate her future. She took control of her narrative, literally and figuratively. She rewrote her script, both on the page and in her life, and realized that only she could approve the changes that mattered most. Her journey became a living testament to the idea that true transformation starts from within. The physical changes were just the surface. The real shift was in her mindset and her spirit. Rebel discovered that it's not about the number on the scale, but about the respect and love you build for yourself along the way. That's the real victory. She built not just a healthier body, but a much stronger spirit. Every workout, every healthy choice, every act of self-kindness made her more resilient. The world saw the weight loss, but the real story was the strength she found, the confidence, the courage, and the self-acceptance that radiated from within. Rebel's Year of Health inspired millions. People everywhere began to look beyond the numbers, realizing that health is about so much more than what you weigh. For Rebel, it was about becoming her best self, inside and out. She found joy in movement, peace in self-acceptance, and strength in vulnerability. And she did it not in giant leaps, but one honest, courageous step at a time. Her story reminds us all, you are more than just a number. When you think of celebrity weight loss, what comes to mind? Most of us instantly picture grueling workouts, endless hours in the gym, and sweat-drenched routines that only the rich and famous can afford. We imagine celebrities surrounded by personal trainers, high-tech equipment, and the latest fitness trends, pushing themselves to the absolute limit. It's easy to believe that dramatic transformations require extreme effort and exclusive resources. But here's the twist. Rebel Wilson's secret weapon wasn't some high-intensity celebrity-only workout. It was something incredibly simple and accessible. Walking. Yes, just walking. No fancy moves, no complicated routines, just the basic act of putting one foot in front of the other. In fact, her doctor recommended walking as the best way for her body to burn fat efficiently. It wasn't about pushing herself to exhaustion, but about finding a sustainable, gentle approach that worked with her body, not against it. There was no need for exclusive gym memberships or expensive equipment. Rebel simply laced up her sneakers and hit the pavement, the park, or wherever she could walk. It was about making movement a part of her everyday life, not a special event. She committed to walking for an hour a day, 6 days a week. Sometimes she walked briskly for a cardio boost. Other times she took scenic routes to enjoy nature and clear her mind. Whether it was a city street or a forest trail, walking became her daily ritual. Over time, walking became as non-negotiable as brushing her teeth. It wasn't just a workout. It was a habit, a part of her routine that she didn't question or skip. This consistency was key to her transformation, and that's what makes her story so inspiring. Walking is achievable for everyone. You don't need to be a millionaire, a professional athlete, or even particularly fit to start. All you need is a pair of shoes and the willingness to take that first step. The real magic lies in consistency. Sticking with something simple day after day beats intense bursts of effort that leave you burned out and discouraged. It's about showing up for yourself, even on days when motivation is low. Of course, Rebel eventually added resistance training and fun workouts to her routine, mixing things up to keep it interesting. But walking remained the foundation, the steady, reliable base that everything else was built on. Her journey proves you don't have to punish your body to see real change. You don't need to chase pain or exhaustion to make progress. Sometimes the most gentle, consistent movement is the most powerful for both your body and your mind. Walking isn't just good for physical health. It's a mental reset, a chance to clear your head, boost your mood, and reconnect with yourself. It's a form of self-care that anyone can access, no matter their starting point. The lesson here? Find movement you genuinely enjoy and make it a regular part of your life. Whether it's walking, dancing, or any other activity, consistency and enjoyment are what truly drive lasting results. Forget the old saying, no pain, no gain. Real transformation comes from joy, respect, and kindness toward your body. When you move in ways that feel good, you're more likely to stick with it, and that's where the magic happens. Rebel's walking habit is perhaps the most relatable and inspiring part of her entire journey. It shows that you don't need to overhaul your life overnight or follow extreme trends to make a difference. Sometimes the simplest changes, like a daily walk, are the most powerful. And that's a true game changer, not just for celebrities, but for all of us. Let's talk food, because you can't outwalk a bad diet. Rebel overhauled her eating, focusing on high-protein, nutrient-dense foods. She aimed for under 1,500 calories a day, making every bite count. She adopted the Mayer method: chew slowly, reduce sugar and gluten, focus on whole foods. It was about gut health and mindful eating, not restriction. The biggest shift? Tackling emotional eating. Instead of reaching for comfort food, she found new ways to cope. Walking, baths, or just sitting with her feelings. She didn't swear off treats forever, but made conscious choices. She learned to listen to true hunger, not emotional cravings. Food became fuel, not a crutch. It was about nourishing her body with respect, not punishment. That shift changed everything. The real work wasn't just physical, it was mental. Rebel had to confront why she used food to numb emotions. Fame brought stress, and eating was her coping mechanism. She realized her self-worth wasn't tied to her size or her persona. She had to love Rebel the person, not just Rebel the performer. Building self-esteem was harder than any gym session. She set boundaries, said no, and prioritized her well-being. There were tough days, but she pushed through with a new sense of purpose. The after photo is just the surface. The real change was inside. True, lasting transformation is an inside job. She did the heavy lifting on her heart and mind, and her body followed. That's the real secret. You'd think everyone would cheer for a health journey, right? But Rebel's own Hollywood team was against her losing weight. They said, "Why change? You make millions as the funny fat girl." Her size was part of her brand, a product Hollywood wanted to keep. She faced immense pressure to stay the same for her career. Rebel had to choose, her health or her comfortable career path. It took courage to go against her agents and managers. She had to believe her talent was more than her appearance. It was a massive gamble on her health and her future. She fought against being typecast in her own life. Sometimes, even those closest to us resist our growth. Rebel became her own biggest advocate. She proved she's the author of her own story. What's the biggest barrier to confidence? Rebel's journey shows it's not the number on the scale. She was confident before, but it was armor, a character. Now her confidence comes from keeping promises to herself. It's the swagger from facing a huge challenge and coming out stronger. Losing weight didn't give her confidence. The process built it. Every walk, every healthy choice, every stand for her goals was a deposit in her confidence bank. The physical changes were just a side effect of internal work. She learned to trust herself, and that's the ultimate confidence. Her story challenges us to redefine confidence. It's about self-respect, not dress size. The most attractive quality is the quiet, unshakable confidence that comes from within. While the world focused on her appearance, Rebel was driven by a deeper goal, becoming a mother. Her year of health was a year of hope. Getting healthier improved her chances with fertility treatments. This wasn't about vanity, it was about creating a family. That motivation gave her strength on the toughest days. Her journey was an act of love for a child she hadn't met yet. And it worked. In November 2022, Rebel announced the birth of her daughter, Royce Lillian, via surrogate. All the hard work led to this miracle. She prepared herself body and soul to be a mother. It's a happy ending she made real through grit and determination. Health journeys are often fueled by dreams we can't see. For Rebel, it was about her future family, and that made her transformation even more inspiring. So what's next? Rebel is more than Hollywood's funny fat girl. She's a director, producer, and dramatic actress. Her transformation opened new doors. She's no longer limited to roles based on her size. Now her humor comes from joy, not self-deprecation. Her talent was always there. Now it shines brighter. She's writing a children's book, in a happy relationship, and a loving mom. She built the life she dreamed of in that doctor's office. Her story proves it's never too late to rewrite your script. She created her own fairy tale ending and a new beginning. Rebel's journey is about health, hope, and self-belief.